So let's get started. Hello and welcome everyone to today's Amazon QuickSight learning session, where community members come together to learn about new features, new capabilities of QuickSight. In today's session, we'll learn about radar chart and Scatterplot visuals. My name is Deepak Singh. I'm QuickSight Solutions Architect. Along with me today, I have my colleague Bhupinder Chadha. Bhupinder, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Bhupinder Chadha, and I'm one of the product managers on the QuickSight team. And my area of focus is visualization.
Thank you, Bhupi. So a little bit about QuickSight community. I know many of you have attended prior sessions and are QuickSight members. So this is for attendees who are joining for first time us. QuickSight community is one-stop shop for all your BI journey, right? You can benefit from number of resources that's out there. You can access the featured content available. We do monthly and weekly webinars like this. You can register and attend such sessions. You have access to new blogs and posts that we announce or new feature announcements. It's all available on QuickSight. QuickSight has a learning center where you can access all the webinar content, all the new content that is produced by SMEs and essays in the community. In addition to that, you're able to search a topic of your interest in QuickSight, right? So if you want to do something and you don't know how to do it, you can go and search or ask questions in QuickSight community to get answers, right? And you can access the content using the toolbar up there. If you haven't joined QuickSight community, you can join using the QR code over here. In addition to posting questions, you also benefit from the learning series we do on a weekly basis, as well as the monthly learning events we do, such as new features, immersion days, and Q&A session. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to go and ask those questions during today's session on QuickSight community. So you can go to community.amazonquicksite.com or use the QR code that's there. And with the help of that, you can go to QuickSight community. For today's topic, you will use the session tag as QLS-radar-scatter. So use this tag as you're asking questions on QuickSight community website. With regards to recording, so yes, we are recording this session. The session recording will be available on QuickSight YouTube channel as well as on QuickSight community within a week. Okay, so let's talk about the agenda for today. The two visuals we'll focus today are on radar chart as well as Scatterplot. So radar chart, also known as spider chart, was a new visual released by QuickSight earlier this year, right? And it's a visual that helps you analyze a group of values, a dimensional set of attributes over multiple metrics or facts that you want to analyze it on, right? And there are a number of use cases. For example, let's start with this force analytics. So you might have seen, analysis or articles, analysis of players and their capabilities, or comparison of one player versus the other player based on their attributes, right? So for example, if you take soccer, you can compare, say, players as Leo Messi with Karim Benzema, and then analyze their various skills together, right? That's one use case. Similarly, you have use cases in sales as well. For example, if you wanted to analyze the performance of your sales representatives and measure those performances across various values such as deal closed, average deal size, or net new customer wins, right? So this allows you to compare the performance of a sales rep, or number of sales reps together. Similarly, for call centers as well, you have a use cases where you want to measure the performance of your call center employees or staff against the set of metrics and the values that you want to compare, and so on and so forth as for HR use case as well. So what we will do is let's do a quick demo of the features, right? How to build that radar chart. Also, before I do go to radar chart, if you have questions, please go to QuickSight community and then ask questions, right? And in that area, you can raise a new questions and add your tag here, right? And you can search for tag as QLS radar scatterplot. So this is the tag you want to use for asking questions today. You can enter your title and you can provide the details and then add that to next questions, right? So feel free to go to QuickSight community and use this tag to ask questions about today's session. Now let's look at an example, right? So this portal is called Demo Central Portal, where QuickSight essays and SMEs post, out of the possible dashboard and quick tips and tricks or feature demos that is publicly available. One of the dashboards is about top player analysis, and as you can see in this dashboard, we have number of soccer players, and along with their key skills and rating of those key skills. Now, this is a table view which can list you large number of players and number of these skills and the rating of those skills. But it's very hard to comprehend or compare these skills across multiple players. So if I wanted to say compare Leo Messi with Karim Benzema, Robert Lewandowski, Kevin De Bruyne, Kylian Mbappe, if I want to compare these 5 players and their skills, it's very hard for me to compare that in a tabular fashion. So instead of using that tabular fashion, what I'm going to do is I can use a radar chart right next to it, right? And in this example, I'm plotting radar chart of these various skills and comparing these for top 5, top 10 players if I want to. So for example, here, this is, let me just find out. Okay, so this is for Mohamed Salah, this is for Leo Messi, and this line is for Robert Lewandowski, right? So for each of these players, now you can visually see how they stack up against each other for those specific skills. So radar chart is really useful when you want to compare, say, in this case, a group of players and their skills, right? And skills rating. So let's see how we can go about building this. So I will go ahead and create a new analysis visual to create the radar charts. And this is something available to you as well online. If you go to Demo Central, you can click on that pencil icon and you have access to underlying analysis and all the metrics or the columns that are used in building a given dashboard, right? So here I would go about building an interactive sheet because I want to build the radar chart. So I'll go ahead and select the radar chart, right? And remember, in table, I had listing of so many different players. And there are a lot. So I don't want all those players. I just want a handful of those. So I'm going to go create a filter so that I can limit the number of players, right? So I'll apply a filter on name column, and then I'll edit to see a filter of top and bottom, and apply the bottom filters. I want to say top 4 players, right? And then I want to rank them based on ranking. So I'm going to use the ranking and then do an aggregations, right? So what I'm trying to do is, because I have really large number of players, I just want to compare 3 or 4 players, in this case 4. So I'm filtering on the name using the ranking available of the players, right? And then I'm going to hit apply. So as you can see, I have access to these 4 players, right? And now I want to build my radar chart, right? Go back to visualizations and use the columns and attributes that I want to compare and analyze. So I'm going to start adding those, right? Attacking, mentality, movement, right? As I am adding, say, their position, their potential, looks like it changed the position to player. I'm going to change that. Give me a minute. So I'm going to keep adding more, right? I want to analyze ranking. I want to analyze not the ranking, maybe skills, right? So I have number of these attributes available to compare. Now, as you can see, it's relatively easier for me to compare these 4 players and where they stack up in terms of skills. So if I wanted to check their mentality or their attacking capability, as you can see, there's a very little to differentiate between their attacking capabilities. But in terms of skills, there's a little bit of gap in terms of comparison, right? So this is what you can do with radar charts if you want to compare a group of values over a set of skills, or the values that you want to compare them against or analyze them. That's when you use the radar chart, right? And radar chart offers you number of features as well. So for example, in this case, it's polygon. In case I can change it to circle, right? So you have options to change the shape of your radar chart, and you can do area comparison as well. So in this case, right, you can select a player and you can see how they stack up against each area and how it is getting filled up on those sections. You have options of access. You can show the access lines, you can remove the access lines, and also you have a new feature that we released is you can control the access behavior. So there are a number of options there. If you leave the access as auto, what it means is the scaling of your access will be same for all the values that you're comparing against. In this case, like attacking, skills, mentality, etc. Right? But if you had these values at a very different scale, then you can make those to choose as independent, and then based on the value set, each axis will scale differently, right? So I wanted to give a good perspective, quick perspective on how can you use radar chart and what are some of the common use cases for radar charts to use. Okay, so that's it for radar charts. I'm going to go hand over it to Bhupi so that he can talk about Scatterplot visual. So Bhupi, I'm going to release this for you.
Sure. Thanks, Deepak, for the quick overview for radar charts. Let me know if you're seeing my screen.
Not, yeah, we can see it.
Okay, great. So I'll be continuing forward with Scatterplots. So Scatterplots is not a new visual and has been available in QuickSight for a while now. And it is undoubtedly one of the most effective visualizations for correlation analysis, helping identify patterns, outliers, and the strength of the relationship between 2 or 3 variables in case you're using bubble chart. So When do you use scatter plots? Well, you can use scatter plots for correlation analysis, where you want to kind of find the relationship between the two variables or how they kind of correlate with each other. So, for example, imagine you're looking at your daily transaction of your and you're comparing, let's say, sales, and you're comparing discounts, and a general perception is always some sort of discounts help you boost sales for slow moving items. So that's kind of a correlation where you would say, hey, having a small discount is always positively correlated with my sales, right? But you could also use this for like outlier detection cases where you want to look at data points which are kind of significantly deviating from a general pattern, right? So going back to the same example, what you could look at is in the daily transactions, there could be a few products where sales is negatively affected by giving a discount, where you give a discount and instead of sales being boosted, now you see sales being decreased, right? So that would be more like an outlier detection. And you could also use this for more like comparative analysis, where you could kind of compare individual data points or a group of data points together by differentiating by using colors, and kind of analyze the variation or the differences amongst the group or the categories in the scatter plot. Now let's look at some of the examples of using a scatter plot. So you could use a scatter plot for, let's say, customer segmentation, where you want to segment your customers based on behaviors or characteristics. So for instance, you want to kind of plot customer satisfaction scores against, the purchasing frequency or the dollar value, or the amount of goods kind of ordered, right? And this will help you identify, and kind of bucket them into different segments as, whether it's a high value customer, it's a loyal customer, or it's a potential churner. You could also use for sports analytics. So for example, you want to kind of analyze individual player performance and compare them with other players, or you want to compare players, within a team and see the strengths and weaknesses and kind of really make a selection of your players. You can also use for market campaign analysis, where scatter plots can help you make effective marketing decisions by looking at, by plotting metrics, for example, like, campaign spend versus the conversion rates, which will help you identify, uh, you know, the yield, and identify which are the campaigns which are kind of have a better return on investments and kind of really optimize your marketing strategies accordingly. You can also use for visualizing your sensor data, another very popular use case where you want to plot unaggregated data points. You want to look at sensor data, for example, you want to look at temperature, humidity, pressure to identify the correlation or anomalies for predictive maintenance or your system optimization. And you can also use for evaluating your sales reps. So you can use Scatterplot for visualizing sales performance and metrics such as revenues, number of active engagements, or number of cold calls made, and kind of really identify a pattern or outliers. And this will help kind of managers really assess the performance of an individual sales team or identify areas of improvement and allocate resources accordingly. So we recently made a couple of new enhancements to our scatterplots. So we launched three key features for our Scatterplot, starting with display of unaggregated data points, where you can now display raw data points from a data set without them being aggregated. So going back to the same example of for sensor data, right? What you want to do is you want to plot unaggregated data points, which are like individual data points, and not have them aggregated. Or you might want to use, for example, unaggregated data in cases of plotting player position. So you want to plot the specific player position at a given point of time on, let's say, a basketball court, or let's say a football court for more like sports analytic use cases. Secondly, we added the ability that you can now have a second grouping dimension, which we call as a label field. So previously, we had a single dimension which would apply both the color and the data label. Now we split this field into two separate fields. One is purely for applying color, and the second, which is a new addition, is applying your data labels. So this gives you additional flexibility and kind of helps you cater to more nuanced use cases. And lastly, we did a few performance improvements. So now our scatter plots load a lot more faster. We've observed up to about 6 times performance improvements and this is especially noticeable when you have large data points, which is greater than 2000 data points, to be specific. So with this being said, let's quickly jump to our demo. So here I am in QuickSight now, and let me quickly create a scatter plot. So add to the visual, let me select Scatterplot from here. And now let me plot two variables. I'm going to pick sales and quantity ordered. So the moment I have like two values, X and Y, you would notice that it plots automatically the unaggregated data that I'm looking at, the raw data, which is in my source system. And well, this is not really much useful. What I could do is I could add like a table field. So I'm going to use product name to kind of label my data points. And one thing you will notice is the moment you add a dimension field, it automatically aggregates my data. So if you wanted to still show the unaggregated data, you can go in and say, choose the aggregation to be none. And you're back to the same view where you're not showing the unaggregated data. You're showing the different labels. So you exactly know what are transactions happened yesterday and what are the different products you sold. If you still want to add more meaning to it, you can add a color field. So now I can use, let's say, product category, and this will help me quickly spot out, okay, which of my products which I sold in office supplies versus technology versus furniture. So no, if I look at the example right now, most of my data points are in purple. That means most of my products are from the office supplies. And these are the items which are selling high number of quantities, but that are kind of relatively less in the average dollar value. Now, another use case of also visualizing data is to view it by aggregating data. So for this, what I'm going to do is going to change my configuration settings. And now what I can do is I just have one color field. I'm going to make this as aggregator. So I can say, hey, show me average sales, and then show me sum of quantity ordered. And I can see now that, hey, office supplies is clearly an outlier, which has the most number of quantities sold, but has a very low average dollar value as compared to my technology or my office supplies, or my furniture, sorry. Another popular use case of scatterplots is basically by adding two different dimensions. So now I can aggregate my data set by not only product category, but another second dimension. So let me add a subcategory in our case. And now I have two dimensions to group my data. I can quickly understand, okay, what category or bucket does my cases lie? I know it lies under furniture, for example, or I know copiers and fax lie under technology by looking at the colors. And I can look at the aggregated sales and the quantity information for each of my data points. I can even go and kind of customize using my format pane. So for example, for my data labels, what I could do is I could add a metric field. So along with the name of the field, I can also add like a value for my y-axis. And I can, if I want, change my color to make it more legible. I can make it dark black. And I can also change the position of my data label. So instead of showing at the top, I can choose it to be on the left, right, or maybe below the points. So you can kind of further customize how the look and feel of a chart is from the format pane. Not only that, you can also configure your tooltip. So now I'm showing, let's say, the product category, subcategory, quantity, and sales. But what if I wanted to add more values to it? So I can use my detail tooltip and I can say, okay, along with this, I would like to add, let's say, profit. And I can choose my aggregation, my profit, saying I want to show sum of profit or sum of loss, and say add. And now I'll notice that I also have profit showing in my tooltips. So that's pretty much it from the demo. I'm going to switch back, and we have a couple more reference materials for you. So what we have is documentation for both radar and scatter plots, which you can go on the website. And along with that, we also have blogs. And I believe, Deepak, you're sharing the links for both of them. So you can go and kind of look at the detailed use cases for each of the radar and the scatter plots. And we talked about also the upcoming and the latest features in them. Don't forget to check out our QuickSight What's New page, where we talk about all the new launches and features. You definitely don't want to miss on it. And then the Demo Central, if you're new to it, if you're new to QuickSight or even kind of experienced with QuickSight, there's always a lot to learn from Demo Central, where you can quickly accelerate your learning curve, look at a couple of examples for inspiration, and even kind of go to the edit mode and kind of play around and figure out how that particular feature or that chart was kind of configured. We also have some exciting session coming up next week, which is on a no-code approach to prediction integrations with SageMaker Canvas, and using some of our new capabilities so that you can go end-to-end without writing any code, apply some machine learning, and get your data in QuickSight and build some really powerful dashboards. So thank you all, and hope you have a good day. Thanks.